What's going on, guys? Welcome back to episode number 15 of the Pit Crew podcast. We made it 15 episodes. I'm so excited. We got Robert Hill on here as well. Today, we got a special guest on. It's going to be Michelle Gosselin coming up very soon. Robert, how you feeling, buddy?
Man, I'm feeling good, ready to get back at it. Episode number 15 already. Can't believe that. That's quite a few episodes, and we're well on our way as well on the YouTube channel DLB to 100,000. We'll keep an eye on that tonight. If we hit it throughout, we might have some fireworks or something going on, but we're very, very close to 100,000 subscribers.
A long time coming. So excited for 100K on the channel. Gonna be big once we hit 100K. I'm so excited for it. Oh yeah, it's gonna be a big deal.
We were at 10K like 2 minutes ago.
I know. We're getting like 40K subs a month. It's massive. So we're gonna bring on Michelle Gosselin here in 1 second, and without further ado, let's go ahead and jump into it.
Let's do it.
Well, Michelle Gosselin, how you feeling? Welcome to the show.
Well, thank you for having me.
Absolutely. So we're gonna go ahead and jump in to the podcast here. Where are you from, and how did you get into NASCAR?
Well, I was born in Miami, Florida, and lived there for like 10 years, and then moved to Central Florida area, and been here ever since. I got started in racing before NASCAR. My dad used to race down at Hialeah Speedway, and pretty much I was just born into racing. My dad's raced. Just about everybody in my family has. My brother, my stepmom. Actually, I have two brothers that race and two sisters. We've all raced at some point in time, and met Mario while I was selling tires in the two local tracks here, Auburndale and Lakeland Speedway at the time, and we had the USA, the Hooters Pro Cup Series, and the Hooters Cup Series, and I just met him at the track through racing and like being the tire vendor, and from there I was a spotter for him, and then he just kind of moved up the ranks, and we went into the ARCA Series, and then ended up in NASCAR.
At what point did you become a co-owner of the race team?
Well, I like I said, I was selling tires from like 1991 till 2001, and then from there, it wasn't long after that Mario was racing in, ARCA. He raced in ARCA in '99. So from about that point on, we were kind of doing the racing deal together, and part of DGM Racing. And so basically from 99 is when he ran in the first ARCA race and won, and then just kind of moved up, ran some ARCA from, I don't know the exact years, but I think we started running NASCAR probably, his first race was Myrtle Beach, and I don't remember the year, but early 2000s.
Yeah, that's such a cool deal. Now, one thing I really love about DGM is it's such a family-ran race team. So, how did it become that with Megan and Madison and the work that they put into the team to reach it to the point that it's at today?
When they, when they were born, Mario was racing, and so they came to the races with us every weekend. My sister Misty would come to the races and watch the girls while Mario would race, and I would spot for him. And I think it's just like in our blood, It just grew up around it all their lives, and they both have, went to college, graduated, very proud of them, and both have marketing degrees, and they both have had jobs somewhere else and really good jobs with other companies, and they wanted to come back to the team and be part of the team. We're all very passionate about it, and yeah, so it's definitely a family owned and operated, and we get to spend a lot of time together. Sometimes it can be hectic, but it's really cool to be able to do the things we love to do with our family, week in and week out and on the weekends.
Absolutely, it's such a cool team just for that very reason. I mean, obviously Mario showing up every week working on the car. I see you working on everything inside the hauler. I see Megan and Madison doing everything behind the scenes and keeping the sponsors happy and doing all the great work that they do. It truly is a terrific team. But can you give us some of the insight of what you got to do on a weekly basis being co-owner of DGM?
Oh, there's everything. I mean, anything you could think of that, basically just I do all the admin stuff for on the NASCAR side, dealing with the licenses for the crew members, the drivers, the truck driver, mechanics, and that's a pretty big chore at the beginning of the year, getting everybody licensed and filling out all the car owner licenses and agreements and just that, and then in charge of all of the travel coordinator, basically, the logistics of the crew getting, making sure the hauler gets up and down the road, with the transporter and booking flights, hotels. Every week we have to do our crew rosters. We have to submit those to NASCAR and fill out entry blanks and stuff like that. A little bit of everything.
Absolutely. It's so much hard work behind the scenes over at DGM, but it's as far as it's cool to see all the hard work that people don't really get to notice. Can you walk us through how it has been this year working with Kyle Weatherman and kind of how his performance has been and what he has meant to the team so far this year?
Yeah, we've had Kyle in our cars a couple times over the past few years, and we've really enjoyed him, and his work ethic, and he'll jump right in there and work on the cars, and help the guys. He'll work at the shop during the week working on the cars, and he just every aspect of that helps him be better behind the wheel, and he puts in a lot of time besides that, on sim and doing his homework, watching data that we have, SMT, watching races, and he's just a lot of fun to be around, him and Meg, and they've doing a really good job this year. We've had some bad luck at some races, but it's part of racing, and he when we have a good luck on our side, we end up usually having a good finish, and we're thankful for that.
Absolutely. So I'm gonna pass you over to Robert here and see what questions he has for you.
Okay.
Yeah, first off, thank you for coming on the show tonight. It's great to have you here with us. And I got to ask you, how tough is it to balance life away from the racetrack with everything else that goes on in the life of somebody so deeply involved with a race team?
Well, it's our work, it's what we do every day. I mean, you're gone a lot, and basically we just kind of like live out of a suitcase for 9 months out of the year, and just it's a routine you get used to.
Yeah, it's definitely something that comes with the time of being involved with it and kind of growing up with it. Like you said, you were at the racetrack as a kid and basically ever since then you've been involved in the racing scene. But if you weren't involved in racing, is there something else that you could picture yourself doing in life? Did you have other goals when you were growing up that didn't involve race cars?
Well, when I was going to college, thought I wanted to be an accountant, and then then I kind of veered away from that and kind of was majoring in business. So I think I would definitely be owning some other business, but I don't know what. Just got the racing bug at an early age, and was going to college, and like my dad got me started in the tire business, because he was friends with the local promoters and he raced at the local tracks. and on their own, they were looking for somebody to come in and be their tire dealer. And my dad was racing. He offered me to race, and I didn't really want to race because I didn't want to put in all the time and effort that goes into it. And he's like, "Oh, well, I'll build you a car and you can just come race." And I'm like, "No, that's not really fair because everybody else that does it, at that level, at the local level, that they're always working on their stuff." So basically, I mean, I got in the tire business and just always kind of stuck around racing, and that's where we end up.
It's definitely hard to shake the racing bug. I grew up with it. DLB grew up with it as well, and it's definitely tough to get away from that once you're hooked on it. And it's you mentioned a whole bunch of different tasks that you do in your weekly role at DGM, but do you have a favorite task? Maybe one of the ones that you look forward to doing the most?
Mm. No, do I really have a favorite task? It's just the same weekly routine. It's not really. I don't really have a favorite task during the week. But the fun part, is getting to go to the racetrack on the weekends for sure. That's probably the favorite thing. Just traveling, and we get to go to different places a lot. And not always do we get to see the town, but every now and then we just hanging out with our crew and family.
It's definitely nice to be able to get around, see some of these places. But what a lot of people don't realize, and you mentioned it there, is yeah, you might get to go to Daytona, Chicago, Atlanta, but you don't necessarily get to see the town as a whole because it's a work trip. You're doing business every moment that you're there, basically, and by the time you're done for the day, you're ready to get back to the hotel, have some rest, and get back at it the next day. So it's not always as glorious as people think, but it's still a life that we all enjoy, and would certainly not change it for anything. And I'm looking up here at DLB in the top corner of the screen. What's it been like having him following you guys around all season long, having a camera pointed at you, and this guy known as YouTube chasing you guys around?
Beginning, it was, a little awkward, or, just uncomfortable. And then as the time goes on, after the first couple races and you get to know each other, and and it's kind of the normal now, just to, have him walking around with the camera or videoing you all the time. So it's been a lot of fun getting to know him, and spending time on the road with him. He came down to the race shop at the beginning of the year and did the Drive Smart commercial, which was really cool. So, we got to meet all of them, and it's been really fun, actually.
Definitely good to hear, and I saw Dustin light up there when you said that as well. So he's definitely feeling pretty good, eh, DLB?
Oh yeah, for sure. It's been quite an experience. Kinda, I know when I went down there the first time to film the commercial, I was like, it was so new to me, and I went to Daytona. It was so new to me. I feel like I didn't get comfortable until probably I was a little more comfortable with Atlanta. By the time we got to Richmond, I felt like I was pretty locked in and very comfortable with it. So I mean, it was a big learning curve for me this year, but it's been amazing.
Well, definitely glad that you've enjoyed that. And I'm going to ask you now, Michelle. Obviously, you've had a lot of great drivers involved with DGM Racing, Alex Labay, Martin Waugh. I think Donald Tej has run a race or two. Those are just some of the Canadians. Then Josh Balicki, Kyle Weatherman, Josh Williams, so on and so forth. Is there a favorite driver that you've had the opportunity to work with on the team? It doesn't have to be Kyle just because you're on the Drive Smart podcast. But do you have a favorite driver that you guys have worked with?
They're all like family. Just we get to know all of them and have a lot of fun. And if I had to pick one, um, I would probably say I would say Alex LeBay. I mean, he's been really like family. We've known him since he was a teenager, basically, and Mario helped him running late models and kind of just up the ranks. And Josh Williams is another one. He's like a brother. He's just both of them are really great people, and spent a lot of time with them.
Those are the names I kind of expected you to go with. Alex is a guy that I've had a chance to see quite a bit up here in Canada, involved in the NASCAR Canadian Series, and Josh Williams as well. I've seen his work ethic that he has at the racetrack and his personality, which far exceeds the size of any racetrack. That guy is just full of energy, full of excitement, and he just seems like a really cool guy. I'm going to toss you back to DLB here, see what other questions you got, and then I'll have a few more later on.
Okay.
Absolutely. So you go traveling for what, 32 weeks out of the year. Do you have a favorite track you like going to and why?
Um, it's actually we go 33 weekends out a year, but right. My favorite track is probably Bristol, the short track. It's like no other place. The last great Coliseum, and you feel like you're like in a football stadium. The way the grandstands and everything are surrounded, and it's unreal. It's a pretty cool place.
So
The short track
obviously
racing and everything. It's really cool.
you gotta love Bristol for that very reason. I mean, all the tracks I've been
Have
to
you
so far
been
this
have
year.
you been to Bristol yet?
I have, as a fan, I haven't
Yeah.
been there to shoot
Okay.
yet.
Yeah.
I feel like shooting video up there is going to be incredible. I know Martinsville is so cool being right up against the fence. But my next question is obviously both of your daughters are getting into photography and they're going around the racetracks, shooting video and pictures and getting all these images at the end of the week. And how did they get into that, and how has it been having them show up to the track and do all the work that they're doing, gathering images and, running the social media accounts?
Yeah, they both just one day bought cameras and they, wanted to start taking pictures and it just started from there, taking casual pictures of, friends and family and just they love that aspect of it and it's really cool to be able to see them, take their own pictures and use it on the social media and on our website and stuff like that. It's just another thing that they're very talented and they're very driven and whatever they put their mind to, they make it happen. So it's really cool to see them just kind of. I don't really know where they learned that from or where they decided they wanted to do it. They just jumped in and both spent money on their equipment, and here we are. It's just one of the many things that they do. In a small family run team like this, everybody juggles different hats. I mean, they do the social media, they sponsorship, um, outreach, and trying to find new sponsors, and dealing with the current sponsors, and just so much press releases, and they're amazing.
Absolutely. So, obviously, NASCAR is on a bit of a break right now with the Olympics and everything going on with that. I know that everyone's doing their own thing. A lot of the team members are on vacation currently. How is the Gosselin family holding up here on their little break, and kind of what are they doing until they get back on track at Michigan?
Well, for us here, Mario and I, it's pretty much been a staycation. We're not going anywhere. We kind of feel like we travel so much throughout the year. It's nice to just be home and spend 3 solid weeks in our own bed instead of on the road in a hotel, or sometimes we get an Airbnb. But like I've been spending a lot of time with my mom. She moved up here recently, so we always lived about 3 hours apart. So we've been doing lunches and just hanging out. Really, the I know Megan took the weekend and she went to the beach up there in North Carolina, somewhere called Holden Beach. Never been there. Not like our Florida beaches from the pictures she showed me, but Madison, she's been kind of just hanging out too, not doing much traveling or anything right now.
Absolutely. I know it's always hard work there in the race shop, whether if it's in Morrisville or down in Florida. Obviously Daytona coming up, a great shot to get in victory lane with Kyle. I know the last time I went to that race shop, you guys had a countdown to Daytona clock. Is that clock running? And how's the team preparing for Daytona?
I'm sure the clock is running. I haven't actually seen it. I saw they dusted it off, so I think they did reprogram the time on there. But they're working hard. I mean, the guys in the shop, everybody's it's definitely a little more relaxed and not as much pressure. Having the weeks off is nice. That the guys get to spend a little more time with their families and stuff like that. So but we got Michigan before Daytona, but they're working on Michigan, Daytona, and Darlington cars already. So it won't be long. We'll be back on the road again.
Absolutely. I cannot wait to get the schedule back up and going. But I'm going to bring you back to Robert here and see what his last questions are going to be.
Okay.
Yeah, Dustin mentioned the fact, of course, you guys have a shop in Florida. I think that's the main hub of the team. And you also have the shop in North Carolina. How hard is that to manage both of the shops, make sure everything's kind of running smoothly, even though you might not be at one shop or the other at any certain time?
Too hard. Mario's here pretty much runs the Florida shop, and then we have Brian Barry up in North Carolina, and he's been around forever, and he's been a good friend of ours for many, many years. He was actually from South Florida area too, and built race cars and been in racing all his life, as long as we've known him. But he does a real good job of him and Mario. They communicate back and forth and get the cars in a rotation, and they've got cars that they work on up there. And he's got a couple guys in the shop. Kyle's there with him, and Preston, and we got another guy, Code, and so there's four of them out of there most of the time, and they're really good guys, workers, and we're very fortunate to have them as part of our team, and to they keep the shop running and keep stuff going up there in North Carolina. And then some, there's a lot of times we have to send, cars go back and forth from Florida to North Carolina, depending on what kind of work they need or engines. And we can just drop like our engines and gears and transmission off at the North Carolina shop, and they'll take care of getting it back to the motor builder or the rear end buzzies to get stuff rebuilt or freshened up, what have you. And yeah, goes pretty smoothly most of the time.
And that's one thing I really noticed when I was down at Pocono. I got to see the team and see what makes DGM work. And like Dustin said earlier, it's like a real family around the team, and it seems like you have a really great group of guys and the family as well that's all involved in the team, makes things run. And I think having that camaraderie amongst the team is one thing that helps DGM kind of push to that next level. And I really hope that a victory does come soon for the team. Hopefully at Daytona, maybe coming up in a couple weeks. Obviously, a good chance there. But I'm going to ask you my final question. You mentioned how you were involved in racing at a young age. Did you race yourself?
Yeah, not a lot. The only thing I ever really raced is, they called it powder puffs, and it's where, we're at the local tracks, they would have um just the girls race and the guys cars, basically. So I did race probably 25 races in three different tracks, and pretty much had pretty good success. Won most of the races except for maybe two of them. One race they shortened the race, so I didn't win. And then the next race, I got tangled up with another car, and my valve stem got cut out of the tire and wheel, so I wasn't able to finish. But I have I have quite a few trophies of my own, but it's just been a lot of fun.
So they played dirty to keep you from winning those two races. That's not cool,
Yeah,
but
yeah. No, there's a couple. We have a couple old videos, or maybe like DVDs, from a couple of the races that I raced at. I won a race in Huntsville, Alabama, and some people, that's my nickname, is Huntsville. And that race we were there. It was in 1996, and Mario was there with the Hooters Cup car, and the promoter of the series at the time, Don Marone, he came over because I was there selling tires, and he said, "Hey, they're looking for another driver for this powder puff race. Do you want to do it?" And I'm like, "No, not really," because Don was the promoter that was back at our local tracks, Lakeland and Auburndale, where I was selling tires at too. And so he knew that I'd ran some powder puffs, but I didn't want to do it because I didn't really know the car or the I'd never been on the track either, you know. So he came back again. He's like, "Hey, they're going to cancel the class if you don't do it. They need one more driver." So he kind of talked me into it, and I did it. And then I did some asking around about the car, and they're like, "Oh, wow, that's probably the worst car out here." And I was like, "Oh boy, this isn't going to be good." I started on the outside pole and took off, and the girl that was on the inside, she came up the track and in front of me, and I had to get on the brakes and slide down. I cut underneath her and I ended up winning the race, so that was pretty cool. It was a lot of fun. So that's my favorite track now.
That definitely does sound like a good time. If we put you and Mario on the track together, who would win the race?
Me,
I love it.
I'm aggressive. I would kind of like to grind him up a little bit, and we the thing is when we go like to the go-kart track, the deal is you can only buy one ticket because we're gonna get thrown out of there because we grind them up, and you know we're a little aggressive, but we have fun, you know, like. So if you go to the go-kart track with us, just buy one ticket because you're not gonna get back on the second time.
DLB, this has to be a series coming up later on where we get everyone out there on the go-kart track and see how long it takes to get kicked out.
For it. I am 100% for it. So I got two final questions for you, Michelle, before we let you go. First off, the 92 car. How's it been working with Josh Balicki this year and the challenges of getting sponsorship for the 92? I know Josh has done an incredible job, and so has Natalie Decker. You know, we have to have Dexter Beam over there, Nick Lights. I mean, we have had quite the field there in that 92 car. How's it been working with Josh and finding sponsorship for the 92 and working with the handful of drivers that you guys have worked with this year?
No, working with Josh was great. He's awesome. He's a lot of fun. He you know he pretty much he hustles, you know, to find all of his own sponsorship, and he does all of his own social media and like his graphics. He's really talented and can do a lot of things. He's a happy guy. He's always I don't think I've ever seen him mad. He's just like even when he has a bad day on the track, you know, he's very appreciative to, you know, running our equipment, and we're happy to have him, you know. He's a really super cool guy. The
Absolutely.
sponsorship part of it, you know, it's hard to find the sponsorship, you know, to be able to run these cars, and we've had a lot of good people, a lot of good people in the 92 this year, you know, Natalie and Dexter and Nick, and it's fun, you know, to have, you know, a good mix of people in there.
Sure. How helpful has it been having drivers like Daniel Suarez or Ross Chastain come over and do a race or two here and there?
It's really helpful, you know, to get their input and to have them behind our car, you know, the wheels of our car. It's really it's an honor to have them to drive, you know, that to think that they would come down, step down and drive in a car, you know, in the Xfinity series and you know, our car at our level, you know, it's really awesome. I mean, they you know, they have so much experience and bring a lot of knowledge in the team.
My final question is obviously there's a lot of kids out there that want to break into the NASCAR industry, whether if they want to be a crew member or a mechanic or a crew chief one day or just work on a team. It's a lot of kids' dreams to do that. What advice would you give them to break into the NASCAR industry and what steps should they take?
It's hard to just break right into the NASCAR industry, you know. I would recommend that, you know, they go out to their local tracks and short track there, you know, and just get involved there, if they want to be a crew member or just, go to the tracks and meet the drivers and the teams and you get out there and try to help and learn and, just it's really hard to just jump right into the NASCAR, but you just build yourselves and network and meet people and you gotta have some skills to be able to show off to get into the NASCAR level. It's tough, but just don't give up. If that's your dream and you're passionate about it, just start out and learn at a local level and then just start knocking on doors or sending emails or, showing up, not a lot of people will send emails, but like if they show up to your shop and face to face and, got and realize that they got to start from, anywhere, they can't just jump right in. They got to learn from the bottom, and work their way up.
It's always a hustle in the NASCAR industry because there's only so many spots, and it seems like so many people are trying to fill them. It's been amazing having you on here, Michelle. Is there anyone you'd like to shout out before we end today's show? And where can the people find you over on Twitter or any social media accounts you may have?
Yeah, it got I think I'm the same on Instagram. But I just thank you guys for having me and thank all the sponsors and all of our crew members, all the sponsors that have been with us throughout the years and, Drive Smart. It's awesome to have them on board this year and all of our crew members, they all work really hard and just want to thank all of them for sticking with us and being part of our team.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Michelle Gosselin, for coming on for episode number 15 of the Pit Crew podcast.
All right. Thank you for having me.
Thank you so much.
Robert, that was a fun episode. We're coming up on 100,000 subscribers. So always, going to be a lot of fun here on the channel moving forward. And we got a lot to look forward to. The channel has had a lot of growth this year. And I mean, we definitely had a lot of fun questions there with Michelle. We got a lot of really fun guests coming up on the show next week. I believe we're going to have Tal Boyd coming up. We have Josh Williams booked up for some point, and with Dexter Bean is going to be coming on later this month. So I mean, we're definitely getting them booked up
too, don't
yeah,
we?
Alex LeBay.
Yeah.
Yeah, we got some good episodes coming up on the show. So I mean, always much appreciation for everyone who tunes in to the Pit Crew podcast. I mean, 15 shows in, we're booked up with a guest pretty much every single week for the next month. That's going to be fun. It was fun talking to Michelle here today, co-owner of DGM, and just kind of finding out what goes on with the in and outs of running a race team in the NASCAR Xfinity Series. So always a lot of fun there, Robert.
Yeah, it's really nice to be able to see the different perspectives, the unique perspectives of everyone that's involved in the industry. We've had the drivers, we've had the influencers, we've had the designers. Now we've had both of the owners of DGM Racing. And next week, of course, we're going to go up to the Eyes in the Skies with Tab Boyd, which is my initial background in racing as well. And, I've done some spotting in NASCAR and it's really cool. So it'll be fun to hear from Tab and see what he's got to say. And, obviously you mentioned everyone that's involved in the show before we move on to the next segment, which everyone loves, of course, which is the giveaways. I want to say thank you to Nick and Carlos and everyone that's involved behind the scenes with this show, DLB. They do so much work to make us look much better than we actually do here on the video, and we couldn't do without those guys, and of course Chris and Dan and everyone involved at Drive Smart as well. It's definitely something that we both greatly appreciate and can't wait to reach that next 15.
We're gonna have a 100K party. Is that what I'm hearing?
Oh, we absolutely are. We're having a 100K party. Chris will do something. Maybe he'll cook us some steaks on the podcast or something. He likes cooking steaks on video, so we'll see what we can do.
Oh yeah, we're definitely are going to do something for 100,000 subscribers, and obviously that number means a lot to me because, being a content creator for the past 10 years, that is huge. But I say we should give away a little bit of Kyle
Do
Weatherman
it.
Drive Smart merch. You can win this very Kyle Weatherman t-shirt. All you got to do is type something in the chat. Now, Landon actually designed this t-shirt. We had him on the show last week. Be active in the chat if you want a shot to win, and let's go ahead and roll it. And we got a Matthew Ilm who is going to be winning the Kyle Weatherman number 91 t-shirt. So all you got to do is reach out to Go Drive Smart over on Twitter, and they'll get to you. DM them, tweet them, and then they'll get to you, get your address, and get you hooked up there with the Kyle Weatherman t-shirt. But I think that's a wrap for episode number 15. We'll be back next Thursday night at 8 p.m. So stay tuned for that. A fun week of uploads coming up. So a lot to look forward here on the channel. With that said, we'll catch you all in the next episode.